Well, good afternoon. I'm Dan DeRosa with 19 News, coming to you from our digital desk. We want to talk about recreational marijuana. Of course, medical marijuana has been available for a few years in the state of Ohio, but we are expecting very soon, perhaps even this week, that a lot, or at least a handful, of those medical marijuana facilities will be given a certificate of operation. It is a process, but a certificate of operation to start selling recreational marijuana, meaning to the rest of the general public in the state of Ohio. There have been a lot of application processes. There's been a huge deal made by the Ohio Department of Commerce that is handling all of this just to make sure it's done correctly. And the reason medical marijuana facilities are going to have a leg up on anybody else that's applied to sell is because they're already following the guidelines that were set by the state, very strict guidelines, the way packaging has to look, the amount of security in a facility, the whole 9 yards. And so that's why we expect medical marijuana facilities, dispensaries, will be the first to get their license. Speaking of, we're going to bring in a team from Nirvana Center. They're a dispensary in Elyria. We want to welcome in Roberta Rosa, Mohammed Warich, and Brian Adams. How are you today?
Doing great, thank you.
No.
Hey, we're glad to have you folks because we really want to educate the public as we're moving forward. I was on the phone with Roberta earlier. She had a great phrase that education kills ignorance. I think that was such a great phrase for this. So let's talk about how you folks are preparing. And we'll talk a little bit about Elyria. There is a moratorium there. We'll talk about that a little later. How are you folks preparing for this notion of all of a sudden it's not just medical marijuana individuals, it's really the general public that can come in and purchase marijuana?
Well, it's mostly getting, the awareness out, as we've talked earlier, it was how people, anyone that's usually against something like this would be, there's basically a lack of education. We can't get mad at anyone that would think of anything, think of this program, this business negatively, because of course it is an education. It's an opportunity to educate, the public when it comes to this. And that's another thing, that's how you prepare people as well. On top of that, also, we have a list we get a lot of people coming in here. We have about 70, a list of 70 names right now, with just people coming in thinking rec has started already. So we have a list of future customers and also, potential patients that couldn't afford to be a patient, with this medical program. So, we're excited to have that. So it's basically preparation, education, and just making sure that, we stay on top with everything. That's all you can really do to prepare for everything here,
When the state does, go ahead.
Sorry. I was saying on an operational level, Dan, we're preparing by increasing our staff because we're expecting the increased volume. We want to make sure that we have enough supply for our medical patients as well as our recreational consumers. So that's kind of the stuff we're looking at. We also want to make sure we have our standard operating procedures in place to account for it and the training that needs to be done at our point of sale and kind of level for our frontline employees so that they're ready for the volume and they don't change the way they do things. We want to give that same knowledge that we're giving to medical consumers to the recreational consumers that are coming in. They may be using cannabis for medical use as well, as Ro just said. So
Do you guys expect sort of, I don't want to call it an onslaught, but once you're approved for that license, of course, any dispensary around Northeast Ohio would like to be the first one because, maybe you generate some customers, you generate business. Do you expect really a heightened state of maybe excitement or people waiting at the door if and when you do get your license?
yes, sir. And I think that's been around since issue 2 was passed on the ballot in November. So that excitement's been going. So everyone's just ready and ready to get this program started at the recreational level. And I don't think it'll be an onslaught. I think it'll be consistent volume. The way the state is releasing these licenses, they're doing it in kind of a rolling basis. So we are one of the 20 that they released for a provisional license, and one of the few in this Northeast Ohio region. So we're ready to go. We expect an increased volume initially just because of that, because there won't be other dispensaries allowed to sell recreationally until they get that provisional. And then, of course, like you said, the certificate of operation to sell dual use.
So that's phenomenal for Nirvana that you're one of the first 20 around the state. There have been only 20 provisional licenses. That doesn't mean they can sell yet. It needs to go from provisional to then certificate of operation. What do you have to do to make that final step? And do you expect that to happen this week?
Of course, to answer that question, I don't expect it to happen this week. There's a few things that the state requires, which makes complete sense. There's a lot of paperwork that has to be filed with the state. Following that, at our operational level, we have to make sure our point of sale system can account and accommodate those recreational consumers so that we can differentiate between medical and recreational. We also want to put kind of stops in place so that we know if our inventory is running low, that we can't sell to recreational anymore. And before that even happens, we want to make sure we have the inventory to accommodate this increased demand that's, of course, going to come with recreational and adult use opening up.
And that makes complete sense, and that
Yes.
helps protect the people who need this for medical reasons, because you don't want somebody that maybe uses medical marijuana for pain or for daily, to be able to operate on a daily basis. You can't run out of stock for those people because recreational people came in and bought you all out. That's one of the provisions in the state, correct?
Yes, sir. They are highly focused on that, and just like you said, it makes complete sense, and it should be that way. But aside from that, they want to do that testing. We'll probably go through another inspection before that happens with the state to make sure we are ready for recreational use, just like we did to get our certificate of operation for medical. So it'll be similar to that. They want to see our point of sale is ready, and they want to know that our operating procedures are ready and good to go for recreational use. And they want to, any changes we have to make between now and then have to be confirmed before we get that certificate of operation.
We're going to give you guys the final word here. This is an interesting conversation. It's an interesting time, as Roberta said, to become educated. Roberta and I were talking earlier. This is not like some unregulated head shop back in the 60s that's selling weed out of a back room. Anybody who has not been to a dispensary, if and when this becomes recreationally legal, go in and educate yourself. So we're going to give you folks at Nirvana there in Elyria the final word. And in fact, before we get to that, let's talk about what's happening in Elyria. You folks still have a moratorium in that city against recreational weed. What's happening on that front?
Yeah, so I believe at the beginning of this month they enacted that moratorium, and to us it does make sense. They want to take the time and kind of develop those zoning laws and regulations. We'd like to see maybe a special exception because we have been operating medically and we have kind of abided by all the laws currently in place for the medical use. But they're taking the time to do their due diligence. And we expect it not to take a full year, not even to take multiple months. I think it'll be gone very soon, hopefully.
And can I say one thing about education? Hi, this is Brian, Assistant General Manager here at Nirvana. I wanted to touch on that because the level of training that we give our staff here is on the same lines of my background, which is one of the original directors at the Cleveland School of Cannabis. So founding instructor there as well, created a lot of the original curriculum. And you probably heard there at your news desk that we recently accepted the Board of Education assisted or stamp of approval, essentially, now that we have the .edu next to our website. So we are official cannabis trade school, MSA recommended. And, that also leads into council and to other members of our fine society here in the Buckeye State. As my esteemed colleague Ro mentioned earlier, you can't get mad at someone for their level of comprehension here on this subject. However, if this is going to be a blissful ignorance, then we got a little bit of a different conversation to have. So we've been here for a while. There's been a longstanding advocacy community in Ohio, going all the way back to the 70s when we first decriminalized back in 1975. We made it a simple minor traffic violation fine for possession, and we've come a long way, especially since the work of our crew at Sensible Movement Coalition, helping to decriminalize here in the city of Ohio. So it's just baby steps that lead to an ultimate goal of normalization. And I think we're on the right track as far as education goes, and that includes our esteemed city council. It's only a matter of time before everyone is, singing the same song. And I think it takes different facets of this industry to appeal to different people. Some people, it's the tax. Some people, it's the access to medical. And again, to sound that horn, we want to keep that accessibility for the medical patients at the forefront of our facility. And this is a testament to how brilliant my colleague Tom Herron of the Coalition to Regulate Marijuana Like Alcohol and the folks who designed issue 2 to put it on our ballots. And shout out to my honorary advocates out there who helped me petition on that campaign as well. It's just a testament to how that law is already brilliantly crafted, that it is a seamless transition into the medical program as well. The dual use license is indicative of such.
And
so we're going to do everything right through a strict medical regulation lens. So that's how the adult use program is already going to be set up to be one of the best in the country.
And I was going to use the same word, a testament, the fact that it has taken this long and this wasn't just okay, November 2nd, it's legal. Okay, here you go. Let's start selling it tomorrow. That should tell people how regulated this is. The licensing process is not easy, and that should make people feel comfortable. Whoever would like to put in the final word from there at Nirvana in Elyria, they are a medical marijuana dispensary. They are one of 20 to be given a provisional license to sell recreationally. Provisional does not mean they can sell it yet. They still need to get their certificate of operation to be able to sell to the general public. But whoever would like to take the final word on where this program goes from here and how people should be viewing recreational marijuana.
Oh, okay. Well, I think as far as anything is concerned, as people, as we get closer to getting closer to rec, ask questions. I always encourage the public to ask questions, and even if they need to call us here at Nirvana, we're here to answer those questions. Again, education does kill ignorance. So when it comes to that, walk in the door. Like we had city councils, elected officials that came through here, and they really they said, "Wow, this is really a good place. This is awesome. This is secure and it's safe." So at the end of the day, it's really you have to come and experience what everyone's talking about and witness it for yourself. But at the same time, don't hesitate and ask questions. So that's what it is. But we're very excited to see this whole industry go from a Sam's Club to like a Walmart. We're kind of members only right now, but yeah, we're going to see that it's going to be crazy. But we do have the room here. We have the capacity. I have 9 POS, 9 registers here, and yeah. And the thing is, and on top of that, a lot of people, they hear about how dispensaries now they're transitioning to rec right now, and they're throwing patients. They just escort the patient directly to a kiosk, kind of like Taco Bell's and McDonald's now. Over here, we like to offer everyone that comes in through the door. Well, right now is our patients, but everyone's going to have that ability to talk to a human before till you make your purchase. So I'm happy that I left one dispensary. I was at another dispensary for 5 years, and I come here. I'm happy that we're able to provide that here. So we're people first here, and we're a hospitable dispensary. So come on and see us.
Excellent. Roberta, Mohammed, and Brian, we appreciate the time today. We know this is going to be a busy time moving ahead in the future. We appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
Thank you so much.
Right, thanks.
Take care. We're going to wrap up this discussion. Again, it could be any time that these 20 dispensaries around the state could move from a provisional license to an actual certificate of operation. It'll be interesting times in the next week to 2 weeks to 3 weeks to see these officially rolled out. If we have any other breaking news, it'll be right here on our digital platforms. Our noon news is just about to begin on Channel 19. So until then, I'm Dan DeRose with 19 News. Have a great afternoon.
19 News is everywhere. Download our CTV apps and